Boa tarde, bem-vindos à sessão esta sessão sobre o Metaverse do Congresso da APDC, muito bem-vindos. Vamos ter connosco Piero Foretti, é o CEO da Versi. A Versi Technologies, it's the company behind the Taste to Space, a generative AI model that enables business to assemble virtual experiences from online, only the text prompt. E o Afonso Fuzetessa is the Executive Director to BPE Center of Excellence for Innovation and the New Business. Welcome to this Congress, and let's talk about business and Metaverse. Recently, BPE launched a reality virtual counter. The banking is a naturally conservative sector. It was convinced the management of the bank for design of the virtual reality counter, and who was it design this solution? What is adoptions and what is the experience going? It's I ask this to Afonso.
Okay, João, thank you very much for the question. So when we think about Metaverse in the context of a bank, it might seem a little bit weird, but when we think about it, so we see this Metaverse concept as an umbrella for three different things. So we see it as all the innovation that is happening in the space of AR, VR, mixed reality, whatever, that for us needs to be evaluated as a future distribution channel, future potential distribution channel. So the same way that 16 years ago in 2007, 2008, we were discussing if people would consume banking and financial services on smartphones. Nowadays, we should be having this discussion whether AR, VR will be future ways to consume digital services, okay? Be it banking or anything else. The second thing that we associate with Metaverse is all the things that are happening in what we call in some sort of demeanor, actually, in the gaming space, all these permanent worlds that nowadays have billions of users. Just think about platforms like Roblox or Fortnite, where people are developing true economies. People are buying and selling services. People are buying property. There are lending and borrowing mechanisms. And so if there is economic activity, the question for us is there space for banking there, okay? And then we have a third area of interest inside this Metaverse concept again, which has to do with Web3. So this idea of the internet evolving to read, write, and own. So this ownership part, if we think about a highly tokenized economy based on NFTs, whatever infrastructure you want to think about in terms of penetration of blockchain, there's a key question there. Where will we actually, where will we store all of this property, okay? So in very basic terms, nowadays, for valuable stuff, we store in banks, right? So I think that's more or less a commonly accepted concept. Obviously, with all the things that are happening in the Web3 space, be it DeFi, be it other types of relationships, we need to be prepared for all that, okay? So we are basically thinking about all of these topics here at the bank, and one of our first market approaches was exactly a VR solution. So we launched an app for Oculus Quest devices, virtual reality devices, where we basically developed a bank branch in virtual reality where people can explore all of our current product offering. And we see it as the same way that a few decades ago we developed the first landing page for the bank on the internet. That's what we did for virtual reality right now. And so there is a long road ahead in terms of development to put transactionality here, to put contact with users, and to even do end-to-end operations. Okay, so we are in an experimentation phase and in a learning phase, trying to understand what are the limits of the technology also right now, the do's and don'ts that we have. And apart from all the buzz that we can associate with Metaverse, I think we had a lot of buzz last year. Nowadays we have buzz in other terms like ChatGPT or wherever, but the trends are there. Okay, so if anything, what you see is more adoption of this sort of technologies, and so we think we need to be here, we need to be learning, and it will be a long road, but we want to be here since day one, because we believe that it will give us advantages in the future.
Okay, thank you. The Versi assumes itself as a WordPress metaverse, creating in the integrative and easy way without the need for code or 3D experts. Piero, can you explain in fact what your platform do, and you are in Portugal. It's your company. It's Italian, I think.
Yes.
But you work based in Portugal. It's curious too. I have two questions. First, why do the company? Your company? Then why Portugal?
Right. So I came here in Portugal around a year ago, because I was working for a company that was moving to Lisbon. We know that Lisbon has been kind of the hometown for many people in the Web3 space, coming from all around the world. And the company I was working for, as head of HR, decided to move here. So I moved here, but eventually, while I was working for them, I decided to open and start Versi. And I found myself so well in here for the ecosystem, for the people, the way of living, that I decided that I wanted to stick and keep on staying here, because I found myself pretty well. Now I still work with people from all around the world, people in Italy, people in India, people in Austria, Dubai, America. So it's today is really easy to work with anyone from all around the world, right? Let's say my findings out pretty well in here. They find me keeping on staying in Lisbon. And that's where also I found an amazing community of AR, VR entrepreneurs, XR entrepreneurs in general, startups.
So talking more about your project, Versi assumes with a WordPress metaverse. What's this?
Yes. Yeah, so we started here around a year and a few months ago. So I think, it was March 2022. And we started with the idea of the WordPress for the metaverse. We saw the potential for, we see, let's say like this, we see the metaverse, okay, what is being called metaverse, what we still call metaverse, as a new mean of communication, okay? It's different channels, so we have augmented reality, virtual reality. Those are ways to express this stuff, but what those virtual experiences enable us to do is communicate emotionally in a much better way, because we have always been attracted to stories, and most of all, we're attracted to stories that make ourselves the main character of the story. And those virtual experiences enable us to do this. So we thought, okay, but how those businesses that can recount stories, that can make their clients feel more attracted to their brand, how can they recount those stories? If to build those stories, it requires a lot of technical production. You need expert in Unity or a Real Engine or 3D texture. There are so many things that people don't even know about, and it requires time to learn this stuff. It's hard to find people that know it, and much of the process is manual process. So it's a repetitive work. For example, assembling virtual experiences, positioning stuff in space it takes time. So we thought, can we accelerate the process? And it started as the WordPress for the metaverse, so something where you have modular pieces that you put together. But eventually found out we could do this in even a better way. we started dealing more with AI in the fourth quarter of last year, and we found out that we could potentially also speed up the process by starting from a text prompt rather than just building blocks. So that's where we came out with the product Text to Space that enables companies to assemble virtual experiences or prototype different virtual experiences for interior design, gaming, whatever it is, without coding. So the generative AI model takes assets and position them in the scene, so to get what you want. And that's where we are right now, working on this.
So for both, you have seen the rise and the fail in the metaverse hype last year. Do you think the metaverse is dead? Afonso, it's for you.
You are muted.
Yeah, for you first, and
someone had to say that, right? It's I would say that this. It's just like what Pierre was saying, okay? So it depends on how you define metaverse, okay? If you define it as that sort of narrow vision of metaverse that maybe Facebook, aka Meta, wanted to define it as a very narrow social network 3.0 concept, I would say that yes, maybe it doesn't have the potential that we gave it, okay? But if you think it as exactly Piero and I were defining it as a much broader concept of a different way to consume digital experiences, I would say that we are in early days of the metaverse, okay? So if we decide to call the next stage of the internet economy and the experience of that internet the metaverse, okay, I would say that we are in early days, okay? I think that we are in early stages on mixed reality and holograms. I think that we are in early stages of AR in terms of devices. I think that we are on early stages on the things that we will be able to build in terms of virtual realities, okay? I think that this way that we are consuming massively internet right now in 2D screens will change drastically in the next coming years to ways that are much more interesting, much more appealing, that will allow us to storytell much better what we are trying to do. So I think that no, it's not dead. Like all the hypes, it has ups and downs, and we will definitely see these things continuing to exist. So for us, as I was telling in the beginning, the metaverse, it's a bunch of different things. We will continue. So we will continue investing and searching for the right positioning, because we cannot take the risk that in a few years' time, maybe our clients want to be in whatever the metaverse turns out to be, and we are not ready to be there. Okay, so that's the risk that we cannot take.
So Piero, and for you?
Yeah, I think absolutely the same that Afonso was mentioning here. It's kind of a new UI where you interface with the experience in a totally different way. And I think that what could potentially be dead, let's say, with last year is more the concept of joining the metaverse. I've always kind of criticized this thing, because joining the metaverse is like joining a club, but it's not really a club. It's something much more. And I think if companies, for example, want to leverage still the metaverse today in terms of virtual experiences, VR, AR, but also gamified experiences that could be still digitally from the phone, the mobile or computer, like indeed Roblox, Minecraft, Fortnite, those things. Well, in this case, the question I think should change to how do I join the metaverse into how I leverage the metaverse to get to specific results. One of the things, for example, that we've seen rising a lot with the people we work with is more about recruiting through virtual experiences. This is something that is leading to great results. But that is a shift in mindset where you're not just joining the metaverse to be there, like making a room or being in a place where people can come and see you, but more like communicating the languages of the people that know the virtual experiences to appeal to them and give them a new experience. And today, platforms like Fortnite, Roblox, again, even though those are not necessarily VR or AR, but they enable you to create content on those platforms and get directly to the Gen Z people, for example, that could potentially benefit from the services that businesses can offer.
So let me just add one thing on top of that. So we launched our BPI VR app on final of October, early November last year, and obviously we have showcased this, and we had hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, using the app. Okay, and people you really get that wow effect from people. Okay, so the way that it really transforms what it is a digital experience nowadays. It makes this that we are doing right now in a 2D setting incredibly boring vis-a-vis what it can be. Okay, and so as our network capabilities increase with 5G and 6G and 7G and whatever's coming, as the technologies for VR get more democratized and cheaper, when AR also gets faster and cheaper, we will definitely be consuming digital services in a new way that we probably cannot even imagine nowadays. Okay, I'm pretty sure of that.
Okay, let's talk about the new hype of this year, AI. I ask you both, for you, the real impact to the AI in the metaverse or the CSR industry. What's the real impact to the AI?
Maybe I can give a very quick glimpse, and then Pierre, who is probably a much more educated guest.
Go.
Okay, let's go, Pierre.
Glimpse on this. I would say that I actually struggle to. So it seems like everyone just woke up to AI right now. Okay, so this is like a massive thing that's been going on for years. Okay, so but ChatGPT had this effect, this network effect, that all of a sudden everyone now has an opinion on AI and how it will change something. And yes, LLMs have a lot of power for a lot of use cases, but AI is much more than just LLMs. Okay, so LLMs as in large language models, and I think that AI will have a huge impact because you, as Pierre was saying, building this sort of experiences takes a lot of time. And so if you can have accelerators, so building virtual experiences, it's all about programming in the end, it's lines of code. And if you can have an assistant, AI-based assistant that helps you write the code, and above all, write better code, that's great. Okay, so why not use it? So that's my 2 cents on it.
I would agree with you, of course, Afonso, and I would add that. So I come from the game industry and the movie industry. So I've been working myself with Unity, Unreal, Blender, Maya, all those tools that are used for virtual experiences in games. And again, those are really daunting. All the things you have to do, all the position stuff in terms of code, of course, because you have to write every single line of code. But also positioning stuff in the scene. Let's talk about, for example, gaming. You have a specific person that works as a level designer, for example, and trying to identify where to place things so that the storytelling you want to have respects the way you live the story in the game. And it requires a lot of brain. It requires a lot of study. Now, what I think is more, it just takes you time rather than being like a brain thing, is positioning those things. So you have to take the 3D and say, okay, this should be there, and you have to scale it, you have to rotate it, and you have to position it in a way that works. And this is something that doesn't add anything from the person point of view. This is just a manual task you have to do, and those things could be, for example, accelerated from AI. Specifically is what we work on, but there are many other things, many other models that are working on other things, like NVIDIA, for example, is working on generating 3D models themselves, which really I would love to have it because it speeds, speeds everything up so much, but it's really complicated. And there are many other things for textures, there are many other things that can be, AI can be used for. So definitely, I think it's a creativity booster, because even if, in my opinion, again, the metaverse is a way to communicate, it's a new way to communicate, but if you don't know the language, if you don't know Chinese, you cannot speak Chinese, you cannot express yourself in Chinese. As soon as you are able to speak, or at least try to make yourself understood in Chinese, you are able to communicate with Chinese people. I'm taking Chinese just out of random. The same happens with virtual experiences. A new way is a new language, but if it's hard to speak this language, it's hard to use it. The easier it is, the easier it is to adopt it from business point of view, but also from people point of view. I expect one day that we will be able to communicate in real time through virtual experiences, rather than to having to create them on the back end and showing them to you like months or years later, because it takes a lot of time. So yeah, I think definitely AI can impact a lot all the industries in terms of communication from this perspective.
Okay, but for you developing this projects, for you or BPIs too, BPIs too. Now you have a scenario of crisis, talent crisis in this moment in Europe. And it's very difficult to have a project without people.
Yeah.
So for your projects and your demands, when you recruiting people for this, you developing your projects, because it's very difficult today to have the new talents or persons for developing your demands.
Yeah, of course, I would say there, yes, there in tech in general there is.
Yeah, in tech in general is true, but in this specific, it's
there's
more
scarcity of resources for this area in general. It's super new, and it was something when you talk about engines like Real or like Unity, it was something that has been used in the gaming industry for a long time, but now all of a sudden everyone is trying to develop this sort of things and based on these engines. So but it's a programming language. Okay, so I think that yes, there is a lack of people with a lot of experience and a lot of expertise on this, but it's something that you can learn. Okay, it's not so there will probably be some reskilling and some upskilling that will help level the playing field. I think that one of the barriers to entry, and that's where solutions like Versi can help a lot, is there are high barriers to entry nowadays, because if you go to a supplier and you tell them, I want to do a project like this or that with a virtual reality space, there is so much demand that the prices are super high. And so barriers to entry are still very high because you don't have that much people available to develop these solutions. As solutions like Versi start to kick in, as people get more reskilled and upskilled in these sort of technologies, probably we will start to see the cost of programming on these things going down. Okay, but it will take time for sure.
Okay, Piero, I think you have a same problem, but you work based in Portugal and you work around of the world. You work with people in the any places, any countries in the world, but I think you have the same difficulty to arrange people for this.
Absolutely, the people with this.
It's not a European problem. It's not a Portugal problem. Not a European problem.
It's a worldwide. I think it's a worldwide problem. Now, of course, there are places where there are people that are more into these kind of technologies, but really, the more population you have there, the more millions of people you have, the more chances you find someone that, of course, can do it. In Italy, there are few people, but if you go, for example, in USA, of course, you have 5 or 6 times the people that are there. So you definitely even 10 times the people there in Italy. So you definitely find you can find them, but of course is hard. Training people takes time, of course. Depends on the objective of the company. Can be hard to do. There are fortunately some studios that can help in the development process in spin out things, but they cost a lot because they know there are few, and so it's kind of the business world is getting into the gaming world somehow. What has been gaming and most of it at least until now, so it's like a clash of two big titans getting together and not working properly at the moment because again the talents that come from the gaming world want to I've seen many of them wanting to work on movies or games which are more into the entertainment things rather than the business stuff. Of course you can find also them, but it can get a little bit harder, yes.
Okay, I don't know you want to add anything for this discussion because you a little bit 5 minutes, Piero. So
I would just say I would just say as one final comment that
okay,
it's something. I think it's always hard to see these changes. Okay, maybe Pierre and I are completely wrong, and these are not the technologies that
I
win.
think so. It's not wrong.
The thing is that the other day I was doing this exercise where I was trying to see what were the discussions that people were having in 2007 and 2008 about smartphones and what would make sense in smartphones. Okay, and when you see it's actually something very funny. See the first ad of the iPhone, how Apple was selling the iPhone. Okay, so the things that they showed that the iPhone could do. Okay, a major plus was you could see the weather in real time. Okay, so that was the plus that they were selling. Okay, so very hard to see in these technologies how the market, how all of us will pick on all of this and actually take it to the next level. So we are very limited in that sense. Okay, it's usually it has a lot of trial and error. What I know is that as a big institution like BPI, we cannot afford to take the risk of not learning. Yes, we can fail, and the technology wasn't this one; it's some other technology. But we cannot take the risk of not being ready if this actually goes through. And so, very interesting times for sure.
Yeah, Piero, for the hand.
I think the evolution into this new way of communicating through virtual, let's say the metaverse, is inevitable somehow, and it requires, of course, businesses to be ready and people to be ready from that side. Now, just to reconnect, for example, to what you were saying before, and finding the people to build all this stuff, I think that it is a good moment to. Also from the recruitment perspective, to find those people, because there are many people that of course are there, but it's hard to scout them, because it's not as before, like you go on LinkedIn or you go on Glassdoor and you find them, because it's more like about communities. Today it's more a lot about communities. So tapping into those communities, and I would suggest that is the way, for example, that we're building, but creating virtual experiences on starting from there, right? For people that you want to take them to work on metaverse stuff, virtual stuff, then start from there. Start from communities that work on that, or that play things like Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, because there are a lot of talents that are hidden, in my opinion. So to close that about the recruitment, I think yeah, definitely, okay. It's inevitable. So companies have to hurry up and build stuff. It's the time to build. Now that everything is quiet in the Metaverse, it's time to build rather than time to talk.
Thank you, Piero. Thank you, Afonso. Muito obrigado por terem estado connosco nesta pequena conversa e continuem, assim que está desse lado, a seguir o Congresso da APDC online.